By breakfast, Tuesday was only approximately, and Finn had a warm book and a worry. Exactly the size of a missing recipe. Welcome to the Whispering Quill. A place where stories linger long after the last word is spoken, and time moves just a little differently. Each tale we tell is meant to quiet the mind, soften the day, and gently carry you into sleep. So wrap yourself in something warm. Let the world fade. And let the story begin. Yesterday, the doe forgot the dance. Today, the labels are blinking politely, and looking elsewhere. A turnip for the books. Chapter 2. Strange Turns in Echohill. Like calm fiction? Tap subscribe for Chapter 3. Finn left the bakery with a renewed sense of the weight in his satchel, and a new urgency in his stride. The warmth of the strange book pressed against his hip, steady as sun on stone. His duty was clear. Deliver the book to Ilseorth Broadleaf. But the real mission, the one that quickened his step on the cobbles, was May. At the thought of her adrift in her own kitchen, his heart tightened. He carried a mystery, and it had the face of his friend. His purposeful walk carried him past the unsteady quill. For once, the sign behaved. The rest of Echohill did not. The archives weren't far, but today, the way was full of small hesitations. Not his, the village's. Every few paces, something else sat slightly out of place. He saw old Mr. Pertwee, the mailman, standing stock-still in the middle of the lane. His hand hovered over the flap of his bag, while in the other he weighed a simple letter, as if it were an unshelled nut of impossible complexity. He wasn't reading the address. He was staring at the paper itself. A frown of deep, philosophical quandary on his face. As if he'd forgotten not the destination, but the very concept of postage. Finn slowed.
Good morning, Mr. Pertwee. Trouble with the post?
Ah. Watchman. It's just, this one wants to go left. But the ink says right. And its weight is wrong for a Tuesday.
He looked back at the letter, the clarity already fading.
Or is it Wednesday? The light feels like a Wednesday.
Finn left him to his temporal confusion, a knot tightening in his own chest. Patrol was for noticing, but this felt different. These weren't the charming eccentricities that made Echohill. Echohill. They were fraying threads. A few paces later, he nearly collided with the florist outside petal and stem. He stood over a bucket of crimson roses, shears in hand. Clip. She snipped a thorn. She paused. Clip. She snipped the same thorn again. Her brow furrowed in concentration.
Just the one, then?
Finn asked. She looked up, eyes wide with a strange, blameless panic.
I'm trying to remember its name.
She said softly, as if confessing a crime.
It's on the tip of my tongue. A word like a blush.
She looked back at the perfect bloom. Her gaze unfocused.
It's gone.
The scent of bewildered blossoms, and distant chimney smoke, tangled in Finn's lungs. Whistle loped at his side. Head low. Alert to the small stumbles about them. Finn's steady stride turned into a trot. At the corner, a market vendor held up an apple to a customer, hesitated, and finally declared with a burst of desperate confidence.
Fresh. And very round.
The proper word had simply escaped him. Finn broke into a run. His feet, usually sure of Echohill's winding lanes, felt clumsy on the familiar stones. He swerved around a puddle, ducked under damp sheets, billowing like startled ghosts, from Mrs. Minton's escaped washing line, and offered a breathless
Watch business, sorry.
to a pair of shawled sisters, paused mid-gossip, each waiting for the other to supply a name that they both knew and couldn't catch. The village was carrying on, but with the particular caution people use when a stair is not where they left it. Around him, the square spoke in 100 tiny, mismatched ticks. A town falling out of step with itself. At last, he saw it. Broadleaf's archives. A structure that seemed coaxed from bedrock rather than built atop it. He didn't slow, barging through its weather-scarred oak door and into a different world. Whistle padded in after him, nails clicking faintly on the flagstones, but stopped short of the reading room's hush, settling at the door with the patience of a sentry. He was met with a silence so reverent. It felt like a chapel of parchment and dust, underlined by the faint electric hum of knowledge lying dormant. The air inside was thick with old orange peel and binding glue. Narrow ladders leaned against the towering shelves, like patient conspirators waiting for the right question. Card catalogue drawers sat ajar, as if a sentence had paused mid-word, ready to resume the moment no one was watching. Somewhere deep in the stacks, a single page turned itself. Still panting, Finn leaned against a precarious stack of scrolls, his breath too loud in the library's stillness. A figure stepped from the shadows between two aisles. A quill tucked behind one ear. Ilseorth Broadleaf moved with the practiced economy of an archivist who thinks in indices. Years of cataloguing the world's absurdities had filed surprise from her face. But her gaze, sharp and endlessly curious, missed nothing.
Finn,
she said, her voice calm as settled dust.
You appear to have brought the outside world's hurry in with you. Highly irregular.
It's the village.
He managed, catching his breath.
Something's wrong. It started with the hub and spoke, the chime is stumbling. Then I went to the bakery. It's May.
He blurted, the watchman's objective tone failing him.
She's forgotten her recipe. Not the words she said, but the way of it. Her hands are strangers to her now.
Ilseorth's expression didn't change. The single fingertip tapped her chin.
The way of it. Innate memory. Not learned. Procedural knowledge. That is interesting,
she murmured.
There's more.
Finn pressed.
The bakery feels wrong. The air is thin, and there's a smell of burnt sugar over raw flour. And there's a growth on the floor, near the flour bin. In a crack between the flagstones. A small grey patch. Dry as ash. May keeps her place spotless. It doesn't belong.
He detailed its strange properties. That it was made of slate flat plates, and how it seemed to drink the small sounds in the room, making even a spoon's clatter feel loud and intrusive.
It drinks small sounds,
Ilseorth mused, the phrase landing with the brisk tap of a date stamp. She moved to her desk. A wide expanse of oak, covered in open books and neatly labeled trays of curiosities. She slid 3 tomes from different centuries. Herbals, practical. Pathologies of the everyday. And a primer on echo resonance. Stacking them without looking. He unslung his satchel.
Inspector Flint found this. He said it was for the archives.
He carefully pulled out the oilskin-wrapped book. A Field Guide to Subterranean Fungi, and laid it on her desk. It kept that odd, banked warmth. An underheat that warmed his fingertips a moment after he drew his hand back. Ilseorth's gaze sharpened as she reached for it. Her fingertips traced the cover before she even looked at the title.
Warm.
She murmured, confirming Finn's sensation.
And there's a drawer to it.
Her eyes, accustomed to classifying the world's strangest phenomena, narrowed as she slotted the detail into a mental ledger of oddities, far more extensive than the ones on her desk. She flipped open the cover and scanned the index.
Nothing under absence.
She noted.
Under silence, it offers a test. Hold a sample in a bell jar and listen for the way the room disobeys itself.
She took a cream-colored card and jotted a note in her tight, exact hand. Gray plates. Drink small sounds. Correlate with cadence drift. Then, looking at the book itself, she whispered.
If you are a guide. Guide.
She looked up at Finn. Decision made. From a deep drawer she produced a thumb-sized glass vial. And a pair of long brass tweezers, their ends impossibly fine. She pressed them into his hand. The cool glass an unfamiliar weight in his palm.
Return to the bakery,
she said, her voice crisp.
Observe everything. Collect a sample of the growth. And Finn. Don't touch it.
Thank you for listening to the Whispering Quill. If this eased the day, leave a kind word. And remember, notice the small hesitations. That's where the truth begins. Add us to your library, so the next chapter arrives on its own.